Okay, good morning everybody, and thank you for attending our webinar on how to implement security testing across your network. I'm Steve Nice and I'm the Chief Technologist of Cybersecurity here at Node 4. So just going through the agenda today, we're going to be looking at the different types of attacks that you're going to be letting yourself in for, and what your business is going to become under attack. The types of adversary classes. We're going to have a quick look at the cyber security kill chain, and then we're going to look at how we're going to do an overview on how we're going to approach prevention and mitigation against these types of attacks. We're going to cover steps 1 and steps 2 today, and then we'll be open for some questions at the very end. If you want to type the questions out as we're talking, that's absolutely fine, or if you want to leave them to the very end. Okay, so without further ado, I'll crack on. Just going to get the slides working. Here we go. So we can see that attacks are happening all the time. So as soon as you put an IP address on the internet, it will be being scanned for various different things. So there are many types of attackers. You know, there's the ones who are doing it for financial gain, and others that are doing it for script kiddies are doing it just to prove something, and we call those the actor classes. So basically, you know, we've divided these into different types of groups who are actually going to be looking to attack you, and they've all got different motives, whether it's financial, whether it's around Activision and political. They've all got different reasons why these sort of people will attack you, and they're going to be looking for different things in your organisation as well. So whether that's going to be your resources of your infrastructure. So we see a lot of systems being attacked so they can host bit mining applications, and we've got hacktivists who are looking to basically deface websites because you may be doing something that they're not happy about. And when we see the impact of these types of attacks, it depends on what your business is. So if you're running an e-commerce, the impact is going to be your reputation. So you may have spent years building the reputation of a business, and then you've come under attack and your data's exposed, and that's your business basically, or your reputation gone. Or if your data's been stolen and you're say a medical company, then again you're going to lose your reputation around not being secure and not being able to secure personal data. And the different methods of attack, whether it's denial of service, phishing, SQL injection, or trying to deliver malware, there's many different things that we have to detect and protect against in order to make sure that your business is secure as it can be. So we look at what we call the cyber kill chain, and there are steps that an attacker will go through in order to try and compromise your system. And so basically, the first thing an attacker will do is they're going to do some reconnaissance. So that might be, there are different types of reconnaissance that one can do. First of all, you've got to find out what target is, what my target is. So let's say I've already chosen, let's say I want to steal some credit cards. So I'm going to choose an e-commerce website that accepts credit card details. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually research where their systems are, what are they exposing to the internet, what versions of software are they running, have they got any dev sites that they've left up and running, is there are they using some sort of webmail where so therefore I can try some stolen credentials against a webmail login. So this is my first sort of reconnaissance of my target. And once I've understand the weak point in their infrastructure, if I find one, then I want to weaponize. I want to get my weapons ready, basically for delivery. So if I'm going to do phishing, I'm going to choose some malware on a PDF, and I will do some targeted phishing against a particular target. See if anyone responds, and see if I can get my payload delivered onto their systems. So that would be the delivery part of the kill chain. Then my malware would then try and exploit something within their solution. So gives me a foothold. Can I get some sort of reverse shell happening back to my systems, and therefore I got some sort of command line access. And then once I've got command line, can I start? Can I land and expand? So therefore, see what other systems are vulnerable. So a lot of companies make the mistake of protecting or making sure their front-end systems, their internet-facing systems are patched and secure, but neglect then to make sure all their internal systems are at the same level. Because once I find our way in, the first thing I'm going to do is search their network for other vulnerable systems and other easy ways of sort of exploiting. So once I've done that and I'm in the internal network, can I then start exploiting the domain controller to try and get access to the SQL server? So that's basically the steps an attacker would go through in order to try and compromise a solution. So what we're going to do, we've got some tools that we use for providing for doing this, the reconnaissance and the weaponization, and we're just going to go through some of those now in order to show you the sort of tools that you can also use. You can get these from the internet and use them yourselves, obviously against some sort of test environment or your own environment if you want to try your own infrastructure. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do some reconnaissance of my target, and there are various tools we're going to use, and then these are websites that we're looking at here at the moment. So we're going to select a domain. So we're going to look at Node 4 in this instance. Yeah, so here's node4.net, and we can see here that all the details that basically have been registered for Node 4, and we can then start understanding, start mapping out our attack surface. So we can see here we've got m4cloud.co.uk is another domain, and we've got Mr. Gilbert, who's registered the domains, so maybe we could target him with some phishing, and we can look at some connected domains. So we've got node4.net that's just connected to Node4 Cloud. So that's basically tries to give you some information around who owns the domain and where potential targets are. So another solution I can be looking at is, sorry, one second, is what domains do they have? So we use another tool called dnsdumpster.com, and again, if we look at node4.co.uk and search that, we can see what other subdomains are being hosted by Node 4. That's just still working there. So this gives us, again, what we're trying to do here is map out different targets, different ways into their systems to find out, is there an old test machine left online that's maybe got a dump of some data? Is there a login environment that's potentially insecure that we can try and some default credentials against? So this is just still loading up. There are other tools available you can run from the command line, but the good thing about these online tools is that you're not broadcasting your IP address to the intended target. So we look here, so there's lots of different subdomains here. CAS, which I think is an email system. We've got some SIP, Cacti, which is a monitoring solution, Channel, Citrix demo. So lots and lots of things here for us to try to exploit and to see what's actually running on these. So we've got Pless, which we know is a tool for hosting websites. So we've got a dev web here, so that would indicate potentially some development resource. And we've seen in the past where there's been old databases left on websites, on dev sites that are easily exploited. So we can see here, I've started to draw a map here of all the different subdomains I could have a go at. And then what I'm going to do next is just going to pick one of these and then do a scan of them to see exactly what they're running. So let's choose this one here. This is completely random, so I might have to come back and select another new one. Right, okay, so I'm just going to pull this down. So we're just going to use our next task then is to, we've selected a target, so now what is that target effectively running, and is there anything I can exploit on that target? So I'm going to use the hacker's favourite tool in this instance is Mmap. So this is a port scanning tool, so lots and lots of different options for scanning ports, and you can also do footprinting on this one as well, so and banner grabbing, so we can identify maybe IP addresses, version numbers of applications that are running on this host, and we can even run some scripts that actually will do some vulnerability detection as well. But in this instance, I'm just doing some basic testing. So there are some parameters that are used by default. So P0 means don't ping the host because I don't want to alert it to a ping. And then I'm going to also do a what we call a SYN connect. So I'm going to use this SS switch here. I find that's the best one to give me some decent output. So they're the switches I'm going to use, and there's the IP address I've just selected. And remember, this was at random, so I might have to expand and see what it actually does. So yeah, so this one actually is only showing us port 25 open. Now, there might be more ports higher up because this is just the basic. I think the first 1,000 by default. Just double check that. But what we can do, so we can specify different ports. So we can just do 22, or we could do all the ports, or we can do UDP as well. So that one didn't come back with a lot. Let's try one other, which I think we'll try. Yeah, so this one will definitely come up with something. So obviously now by doing this this scan, it's still saying 22, so 25, so I definitely know there's one. Let me just expand this out and do the main website, just to show you a different example. See, it's done the reverse name. There you go, that's better. So now we can see different ports open that we can now have a look at. So we've got port 80 obviously is HTTP, which is the website. We've got HTTPS, and we've got two other ports here which seem a bit odd, 8000 and 8001 and 8002. So I wonder what's running on those. You know, when it's not really identified these as anything particularly interesting, but this is what Mmap thinks is against this. This could be anything really, and the way to do it would be to put that into a URL, into a browser. So let's do that. Let's put this in to a browser and see if anything pops up on this. There's nothing on there, and I guess there's going to be nothing on that one either. But still, there might be something we can do from the command line. Oh, so okay, so it's actually gone straight to the website, which is interesting. So it looks like we've got another web server running on port 8002. And what's on 8001? Pretty much the same. So I wonder why that is. So is that a different, is that something different running on there? Let's try it without the port and see what happens. So for some reason, they seem to have the website running on 3 different. So one might be a test environment, one might be a dev environment. Just to without doing a bit more research. But you see here, what we're trying to do is trying to understand exactly what what systems are actually running. So perhaps we can then exploit those. So let's just go back to our presentation, if we can find it. Yes, so that's just showing you. So so let's have a look at Google and what we can do with Google. So Google obviously is indexing the entire internet, and anything you may or may not think is being indexed, or maybe you don't realize what's being indexed, we can use Google actually to explore. So if I do a site node4.co.uk, we can see here so we've got 2,500 so hits, and basically it's mainly got the website. But if we remove the www, we can start seeing some other subdomains appearing. So we've got one here called pub.node4.co.uk and blog. So let's do the next thing. Let's get rid of the word blog. So we've got prtg.node4, we've got channel, we've got portal. So here we're seeing interesting subdomains that maybe shouldn't be left open. So if we look here, here's a login to prtg. So let's get rid of prtg and see what we're left with. We've left channel, we've got an info, ww1, we've got downloads, which will be mainly PDFs. Let's get rid of that. Info, and we've got the support help desk here, which is interesting how it taking us to a log on page here. So let's just see what ww1 is. Site can't be reached. Let's have a look what portal is. And we've got, so this is interesting. So this looks like some sort of portal, but we know it's not the support portal. So what it is this another, this is a portal that's basically been forgotten. Are there some default credentials we can use here? So what we can also do with Google is we can actually search for files. So we could do, site node4.uk, and we can do file XLS. What's it? File type XLS. PDF. Yeah, so we can search for PDFs that are on their site. Are there any docs? No. So in this instance there isn't. But we could expand that out to different types of files. Is there a backup? So there's lots of different things, where you can actually just do a search for to see if they've got anything left lying around that has been searched that they maybe don't realise that they've been that they've left on the internet. So using Google is a good source of reconnaissance. Now there are also command line tools as well that you can be using. So the harvester is a tool for harvesting other open source intelligence, as is Recon-ng. Now again, we don't necessarily want to do everything from the command line or expose our IP address, so we can use other online tools, so such as this one, pentest-tools.com. So let's have a quick look at that. So this is a free scanner of when I did the command line scanning here, I obviously exposed my IP address. So let's say I don't want to do that in the beginning, I can use online tools. So this is an online port scanner, and we say don't ping it, and I'm authorized, and start scan, and this will go off and scan the same IP address that we've just done, and this basically does the same. So I forgot to put the www in there. This does the same as what we've just done, but without exposing my IP address. I just want to check how we're doing for time. Okay, yeah. So remember, if you've got some questions, fire them away from us. I can see there's a couple coming in. So far this has only discovered port 443 and 80, and that might be because it's just scanning the top 100 common ports. But the good thing about this is actually done some other mapping as well. So if it's detected the fact it's Nginx and it's running version 1.12.2, so we can see if are there any vulnerabilities in that version. Is that the latest version? Because if it isn't the latest version, then we can see if there's any exploits for that particular version. So that's using online tools. So basically we're building up an attack surface now. So we've identified a target, we've perhaps identified which pieces of software are running on there, and we can start identifying what we actually want to attack. So the next step actually will be to use some tools to see if there are any particular vulnerabilities in some software. So what I've done is highlight here just a few tools that you can run online. So Wordpress is a very popular blogging tool, but obviously it's used for more than that now, for hosting websites. So if I was a hacktivist and wanted to deface a website and it's running WordPress, I can use these WordPress in scanning tools to actually discover vulnerabilities within websites. So WordPress obviously is widely used, but what we find with WordPress is it's not, once it's implemented, generally people don't keep it up to date because they've installed many open source plugins or third-party plugins that are no longer supported, or they haven't applied their security updates to WordPress. So we can find those out using WP Scan. There's another tool for Drupal. There's been some major Drupal vulnerabilities recently, so we can use DrupScan to identify those vulnerabilities. And there are other tools as well that you can see on these that you can use online for finding vulnerabilities, in particular in targets that you want to, you're trying to attack. So they're the online ones. And once you've done that, and once you've found a vulnerability, the next thing is what are you going to deliver to try and attack that vulnerability. So there are, again, some tools that are open source. So if we wanted to deliver a PDF that had some malware attached, there's a tool called the PDF export generator, and as it says, it's very easy to create a PDF that's got some malware attached, basically a keyboard logger or something that's going to connect back to your Metasploit server, and it gives you that reverse shell where you can then start doing your exploitation of internal systems. So we can't go into too much detail at the moment on this just because we're running out of time, but have a look at Metasploit and PDF export generator to test some of your own systems, to see if someone's going to click on that link to download that PDF. So we've got quite a few questions, but we've only got time for a couple. So I'm just going to have a look at these now and see. So we've got a question here about, is this what we're doing illegal? Are we breaking any laws? So I guess the way to think about this is, obviously if it's your own systems, you're not breaking any laws. But at the end of the day, when the information's out there on the internet anyway, you're not actually exploiting anything. You're just doing research using open source information, which is completely available. So I'll just show you another website, which is this one here. So basically, this gives you all the open source intelligence resources you can get, but that's not the one I was actually after. I was actually after this one here, I think. Yeah, so this is the one you can actually, gives you all the different tools you can use for open source research. So if we wanted to, let's say for instance, look at exploits and adversaries, there's all these different websites that gives us information around exploits and things like this. All this information is out there on the internet. So we're not breaking any laws by using this information because it's effectively already out there. Let me just see if we show you some interesting one. Can't find it now at the moment. So anything around public records. So like I say, this data is here. So we're not breaking any laws by searching these databases. The only time you're going to start breaking the law is if you're trying to exploit a vulnerability in a system. So just be very careful about what you're doing. And then just one more question around phishing and how we do phishing training. Is it advisable to do phishing of your own employees? So yes, definitely. If at the end of the day, making everyone aware that that phishing happens is a good thing. So there are certain tools out there that you can use. Just be careful you don't target individual employees, or you don't make you don't make fun of them if they click on the link. At the end of the day, you need to use it as an education exercise, making sure that users are aware that that they will come under phishing attacks, and if anything like that happens, they need to be shown, they need to be shown how to spot a phishing email, whether it's like an invalid domain or something that generally the wording's wrong, or there's an attachment, or they don't normally get emails from the boss, etc. So those sort of things, users definitely need to be trained upon. So yes, I would say the more training around phishing you can do, the better. But we cover phishing, I think, in the next one. So just to finish off, if you want a penetration test doing by our Node 4 SOC, there's the information there. It's an offer valid until the 19th of September, but that we might be able to extend that. And thank you very much for your time, and look forward to seeing you on the next one.